When I first thought about doing this speech, I thought I'd list a bunch of diseases and explain to you how the cure might have been found, except the person that's supposed to find it never had the opportunity. And then I thought I'd beat you over the head with a bunch of Bible scriptures and explain to you how God feels about the subject. But then I realized that requires you to believe in God. So instead I decided I would appeal to your humanity. I must warn you, some of the pictures that you view may be cute and cuddly and pull on your heartstrings, while others are very graphic and grotesque. I want to talk to you today about catchphrases. Catchphrases pro-choice use to justify abortion and how they're just myths. Then I want to talk to you about the psychological trauma that women suffer after abortion. Then third, I'd like to tell you about the methods used in abortion, how they kill these unborn babies. And finally, I hope that I persuade you, when all is said and done, that abortion is wrong and needs to be stopped. In 1993, the Supreme Court legalized abortion in a well-known case of Roe v. Wade. Currently, according to Medicine and Health, there are 1.2 million abortions performed each year in the United States. Pro-choice uses the saying, what right do we have to tell a woman what she can and cannot do to her body? After all, it's my body and my choice. But is it really? Because in the 1930s, prohibition against cannabis was regulated as a drug in the United States, making it illegal to smoke cannabis. Essentially, the government was telling us what we can and can't do to our bodies. Then between 1910 and 1915, prostitution was made illegal in almost all states. Once again, for the safety of its citizens, the government decided what we can and can't do with our bodies. Suicide. Historically, various states have listed the act of suicide as a felony. Although it's kind of difficult to prosecute when the person committing the crime is dead, it is still essentially the government telling us what we can and can't do with our bodies. Stopping abortion isn't telling a woman what she can and can't do with her body. It's protecting the unborn life of a child. After all, isn't that what the government is for? To protect life? The government has already identified unborn children as living. Because in 2004, the Federal Unborn Victims of Violence Act was passed, making it illegal to kill an unborn child. If you remember the case of Scott Peterson, where he murdered his wife and unborn child. People talk about the right of women to choose, but they seldom talk about the trauma that the woman will suffer. Most women who choose to have an abortion go through a period of trauma. I've searched the internet and found several. There are literally millions of cases that you can find on the internet, but for time's sake, I've just randomly pulled out 3. For example, Twaina Amon, at the age of 18, had an abortion. 7 years later, her heart is still broke and full of grief for the life she took of her unborn child. Then there's Susan Carpenter, who says that she knows millions of women who regret their abortion and their decision to end the life of human growing within them. And finally, Carrie Camille said she was an emotional wreck, left feeling empty, sad, and numb, regretting her mistake and wishing with all of her heart she wouldn't have had the abortion to begin with. These women, along with millions of others, are all scarred for life. The choices they made for abortion, and now they speak out against abortion. Shouldn't we learn from their experience? Abortion methods are determined by the trimester of pregnancies. The first trimester, which is from 1 to 11 weeks. Then there's the second trimester, which is 12 to 26 weeks. And then the third trimester, which is 27 to 40 weeks. The most common first trimester abortion are vacuum aspirations. Vacuum aspiration is performed when a machine is used to vacuum or suck the baby out of the uterus. The mom's cervix will be dilated large enough to allow a carnelia to be inserted into the uterus. The carnelia is a hollow plastic tube that is connected to electronic pump by flexible hose. As a vacuum is created, the abortionist runs the tip of the carnelia along the surface of the uterus, causing the baby to be dislodged and sucked into the tube, either whole or in pieces. During the second trimester, the most commonly used procedure is known as the installation. This procedure begins by sticking a long needle into the mother's abdominal stomach and into the baby's amniotic fluid sac. The amniotic fluid is drained from the sac and replaced with either a saline solution or a urine solution. This usually kills the child. But it takes several hours, during which most women report feeling their baby violently thrashing around inside them. Photos of children killed by installation procedure generally show massive chemical burns covering the child's entire body. Then the amniotic sac, which contains the unborn child, is ruptured, and the baby is dismembered and pulled out, either in pieces or whole. During the third trimester, one of the most common abortion procedures is dilation and extraction, or partial birth abortion. When this procedure is used, the abortionist maneuvers the babies into the breech position, that means feet first, and then pulls the baby out of the uterus up to its head. Leaving the baby's head just inside the uterus, it is not all common for the baby to still be alive at this point. Now the abortionist pushes a long pair of scissors into the back of the baby's skull and creates a hole. He then inserts a suction tube into the hole and sucks out the baby's brain. This procedure ensures that the baby is not born alive, and it also helps to make the head smaller so it is easier to pull out of the uterus. I know there's still many arguments out there about unwanted babies, but there are also options. According to Hannah's House, an adoption organization, there are estimated to be over 2 million families waiting to adopt in the United States alone. I believe I have shown you the catchphrases used to justify abortion are a myth. It is the government's job to protect life and protect its people from pain. A baby thrashing in the womb as it dies is in pain and needs our protection. I have showed you just a few of the millions of women who suffer psychological trauma and guilt over their abortion, and how this is never talked about by the pro-choice people. I have showed you the painful and disgusting methods used to kill these unborn babies. And finally, I hope I have persuaded you that abortion is barbaric and grotesque practice that needs to be stopped. I encourage you to do your own research. Look into abortion. Find out ways that you can participate in stopping it. We need to stop abortion. Thank you.